Daniel was the kind of guy who thrived on routine, not risks. Especially not the kind that involved late December business trips to the middle of nowhere. Yet here he was, checking into the Hollybrook Inn, a festively overdressed hotel that reeked of false cheer. Hot cider in the lobby, smooth jazz renditions of jingle bells leaking from the speakers, strings of fake pine everywhere you looked. To Daniel, it felt more like a trap than a welcome. But nothing was stranger than the way every staff member's eyes darted away when he asked about the fourth floor. A bellhop dropped his suitcase when he mentioned his room number. 214. Mistake, the man muttered under his breath. Daniel chalked it up to small-town nonsense. His room was at the end of a long, silent hallway. The brass numbers on the door were polished to a gleam. He slid the key card, heard the click, and stepped inside. The place looked normal. A king-size bed with a comforter patterned with snowflakes, family-friendly prints of Christmas past on every wall. But Daniel's skin crawled. The temperature felt a few degrees too cold, his breath almost visible. And then the scent hit, a sweet, cloying peppermint, the kind that burns the nose after a minute. Strange. He hadn't even eaten dinner yet. He ignored the chill, unpacked his briefcase, and set up his laptop. The Wi-Fi lagged, and his mind ran wild with reasons the room felt off. Holiday stress, too many travel mugs of gas station coffee. Maybe he'd been working too much. He left the light on when he crawled into bed. It started at midnight. The first sound, a faint metallic jingling. Not the happy tinkle of bells from the lobby music. No, this was softer, more personal, almost directly behind his ear. Metal on skin. He got up, heart pounding, and tracked it to the bathroom. The lights flickered to life the moment he crossed the threshold. He caught a flash in the mirror, a blur of crimson, something fluffy white at the edge. He spun around, nothing. Cold sweat licked his back. He laughed, shaky, and tried to sleep again. Come morning, Daniel found a candy cane on his desk, bright red and wrapped tight. He swore he locked the door, but there it was, a peppermint enigma. He threw in the trash. That night, things got weird. He woke to jingling in the dark. It was coming from the closet this time. The door shivered, moved. Horror movie stuff. He held his phone like a weapon and almost screamed when the closet opened by itself. A hand slithered out, thin, almost translucent, with manicured red nails. Between two fingers, another candy cane. The hand tossed it at his feet before vanishing behind clothes. He ran from the room, suitcase abandoned. Slamming his fist on the lobby desk, he demanded a room change. The receptionist took one look and paled. "You're in 214, aren't you?" she whispered. He nodded. Her hand shook. That room belonged to a woman. She loved Christmas, decorated her room every December, wore bells on her wrists. But one Christmas Eve, before she could finish, a crash echoed through the lobby. Every Christmas ornament, every glass bauble, exploded on the tile. The sound was deafening like gunfire. The receptionist gasped and covered her mouth. She doesn't like it when we talk about her, especially this time of year. Daniel felt a cold dread root in his chest. He made for the elevator, determined to pack and get out. When he opened the door to 214, the room was transformed. Every light glowed red, brighter than before. The peppermint scent roared up his nostrils. On the bed, dozens of candy canes, broken, sharpened, were arranged into the shape of a monstrous grin. He hardly noticed the door closing behind him. The jingling was close now, each bell a death knell. He turned. She was standing there in her ruined holiday dress, eyes pale as winter, smile stretched inhumanly wide. Her hands twitched, rusted bells chiming. "You checked in," she whispered, her voice a razor under velvet. "So don't check out." Casey prided herself on her Christmas displays, but snowmen were her specialty. With each December, she sculpted them, charming, round, and always with scars plucked from her own closet. This year, December's inaugural snow arrived with surprising ferocity, painting her yard a blinding white. But as she padded out, boots crunching on the crust, her tools in hand, she froze. A snowman already stood at the edge of her yard, perfectly assembled. "That wasn't there last night," she whispered to an empty street. It loomed far taller than she ever dared build one, its torso thick, off-kilter, as if the laws of snow and balance didn't apply. A wide, off-angle smile split its face beneath oversized coal eyes so black they seemed to drink in the dawn. The carrot nose jutted at a strange angle, almost accusatory. Casey shivered, but offered the thought. A prank, a neighbor's gesture, perhaps. The day muddled on, Christmas lights sparkling, but Casey's eyes slid to the window, watching the snowman. Was it closer now? No, of course not. She was letting her imagination get the best of her. But when night crawled across the sky, silent and cold, a new fear grew in her chest. She locked the doors and pulled the curtains tight. Crunch, crunch, the sound whimpered through the night. Her heart thudded. For a long minute, she refused to look, but some urge, as icy and ancient as the wind, twisted through her. She peeked. The snowman stood at the midpoint between street and home. Its head cocked, an unnatural tilt, gaze fixed on her window. The smile looked wider, toothier, the carrot nose almost pressed toward the glass, as if sniffing her out. Curtains shut, Casey lay still as the house shrank around her. She tried to sleep, but dread stitched her eyes open. At 3:07 a.m., the sound came again, sharper, closer, the deliberate crunching of snow. Panic rising, she reached for her phone and called the police, voice trembling. Sirens eventually howled down her drive, but when the officers rapped on the door, the snowman was right back where it had begun. Undisturbed, innocent, sculpted malice hidden beneath innocent cheer. They left with gentle scolding. "Get some rest. It's been a long day." Casey did not sleep. Instead, she set up her old camera, lens fixed on her snowbound sentinel. She crawled back to bed, nerves shredded, dreading the next 3:07 a.m. The crunch returned, wet, fractured. Casey pulled covers over her head, refusing to look until the first light bled through her blinds. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through the footage. The snowman moved, but not as a child's prank. It melted, its body collapsing in on itself, becoming a rolling, creeping mound. Slush folded over grass, limbs reassembling as it paused, rising taller, closer, then again liquefying to ooze toward its prey. At one point, the head twisted, turning a full 180 degrees, the coal eyes aligning perfectly with the lens, as if recognizing it was being watched. Casey's blood ran cold. With no hesitation, she rushed to the door, locked tight beneath a seam of solid, almost glassy frost. Kitchen pots boiled, water flung over doorframe and glass. But as the water hit, the frost pulsed, grew thicker, blooming up walls with intricate, webbed patterns as though it was feeding on her resistance. Behind her, a sound like slush dropped from a ladder. She spun. There, by the heating vents, the snowman reconstituted itself from a spreading puddle, the room growing colder with every second.